Gentlemen and ladies, today we're going to be talking about how to be the best lover your woman has ever had. Being really good in bed is very similar to being a master locksmith. And here's what I mean by that. Every woman that you encounter in the bedroom is going to have her own anatomy, her own turn-ons, her own turn-offs, her own arousal triggers. And each woman is going to be a little bit different. The same thing if you're like a master lock picker. Every new lock that you encounter is going to be a little bit different. It's going to require different techniques to get it off, to get it to open up. It's going to require, a variety of different trial and error in order to find what actually works with this lock and what actually opens it up. So you're going to have to rely on the feedback from the lock and from the woman that you're in bed with. Her body is going to give you the feedback on what's working and what's not. Okay, so you have to pay attention to that. Just keep a close eye on whatever you do. Is this getting her closer to orgasm, or is it just like having no effect on her? To illustrate this point home about how different women's anatomies can be, I've had women where I accidentally, grazed my teeth on one of her nipples, and she immediately freaked out. Like, whoa, don't do that. Where I had another woman literally want me to bite down on her nipples as hard as I possibly could, to the point where my jaw was sore, and if I bit any harder, I was worried she was gonna bleed. That's how much, pain and, intensity she could take. And that's the difference. Same thing with like a woman's bean. Some women's magic bean just going to take light stroking. That's all that's required for her to get really turned on and, really wet and, can orgasm that way. Whereas some women require you to literally take a belt sander and just hammer at it, until she gets aroused and she eventually climaxes. And that's just how the difference of anatomies. Some women's parts are super sensitive, other women's are not. But you have to be a master locksmith, and you have to try different things to find out what unlocks her, her orgasm. Okay, so yeah, keep that in mind. No man should ever be like, there's only one way I bang chicks. If you can only bang chicks one way, you are going to disappoint a lot of women out there. Because every woman is going to respond a little bit different to whatever it is you're doing. Some women are going to love it, some women are going to hate it. But it's up to you to pay attention to the feedback and be like, okay, this is working. No, this isn't going to work. This is working. That's not going to work. And you don't ask women this. You don't say does this feel good? Honey, does this feel good for you? How about this? Does this feel good? No. You just pay attention to how her body's reacting. And she's like, whoa, then you're in a good spot. And that's when you keep going. But if she's just sitting there you're working away on her and she's not doing anything, then you have to switch it up. You're not hitting her spots right. So you have to try something else. So that's what I say. You have to pay attention to the feedback that her body will give you. One of the biggest mistakes I made as a man, being new to this whole getting laid a lot, was I thought women's sexuality was a lot like men's, in that, once she orgasmed, she wouldn't want it anymore. She'd be tired. She'd be like, no, I'm good. I'm satisfied. So what did I do with the first women? Every time I had a new woman in bed, I would, get her super aroused by touching her magic bean, getting her super hot and heavy, but I made absolutely sure that she didn't orgasm, because I didn't want her to orgasm with my hand, and then her to be like, no, once she orgasmed, that's it. I don't need your hot rod inside me. I'm good for now. So that's what I was worried about. So in order to prevent that from happening, right before she was ready to orgasm with my hand, I would quickly get my D in her, penetrate her with the hot rod. And yeah, and that's what I would like, hammer away like the most average guys do, like most typical guys do. And of course, she didn't come like most of the time. And the reason is so simple now. Like women sexuality, women's anatomy is a lot different from ours. The more a woman orgasms, doesn't matter if it's your hand, your hot rod, the easier it is for her to come again and again and again. So this is the massive mistake I see guys making. They think like, oh, I don't want like her orgasm to come with my hand. I'll hold off on that and, get her off with my D. Huge mistake, huge mistake. Here's what you should do. Here's what I do now. I get her off at least like 2 or 3 times just with my hand. And by the time she's come like twice, she's like, get it inside me. I want the hot rod inside me. Because at that point, she hasn't been penetrated. The penetrative orgasms are quite a bit more intense and, intimate than like regular magic bean orgasms. So that's why the more times you get her to orgasm, the more hungry she is going to be for actually penetrative orgasm. She's going to want the hot D inside. And that's when it's going to be real fun because she's all warmed up. She's ready to go. Okay, so let's go over the first orgasms you're going to give her, which is going to be with your hand. So she's lying next to you. What I normally do is I put my right hand behind her neck, like cradle the back of her neck. And my other hand is going to be between her legs. My left hand is going to be between her legs, doing all the work with her vag and with the magic bean. Okay, so for you, it might be the exact opposite. If you're right-handed, you want your right hand down between her legs because it's the most, nimble, the most dexterous. You have the most dexterity in your right hand. So that's the hand you want down there, playing the music. Okay, so, what's the easiest way to get women off? Of course, it's their magic bean. And every woman's going to be a little bit different, so you have to experiment. You start off light, massaging, up and down, side to side, around in circles, higher pressure, lower pressure, faster, slower. You'll get the feel of it. You'll see how she reacts, but just start off slowly and gradually build up intensity. And of course, you should feel her, her vag getting wetter. And yes, it might take, just massaging that to cause her to orgasm. Or you can also do what I do, which is called what I like to call, clam clapping, where I take my hand and I'm just going to basically clap her pussy with my hand, with the palm of my hand. And I'm holding a microphone right now, but it'll sound like you're clapping. You're just taking the palm of your hand and you're smacking it right into her pussy and her magic bean. And of course, you do it fast and it's going to sound like smacking. It's going to sound like clapping. And it's really loud, like neighbors will hear it. And, her whole body will move. When you're clapping her, you'll see her whole body bounce up and down. And yeah, some will like more pressure, some will like less pressure. But it's up for you to, pay attention to how she's reacting. And that's with everything. The feedback you get from her body is going to determine whether to increase intensity or decrease intensity or to try something else. Now, the more times you make her orgasm before you even penetrate her, the easier it is going to be for you in the long run. You're not going to have to pump away for hours trying to get her to orgasm. No, the more groundwork you lay down just by getting to orgasm with your hand, the easier and easier it is going to be for her to orgasm once you're inside of her. So this is why you should never be having to sweat and, grind away and pump away in order to get a girl to orgasm. If you lay down the groundwork, with the hand, It's going to be very easy. She's going to climax super easy once you've penetrated her. So yes, this is why like getting her orgasm with your hand pays you dividends. It makes it so you don't have to work so hard once you do penetrate her. And believe me, once you've given her like 2 orgasms with your hand, she's really, really going to be hungry for you to penetrate her. She's going to be like, can you please get it inside me now? Please. Because it feels so much better when, she's penetrated, because that's really what she wants. The Magic Bean orgasms with your hand, they're all right, but they don't compare to like the deep penetrative orgasms that she gets when you're inside of her. So yeah, lay the groundwork with your hand till she's orgasmed a couple times, and then she's ready, like, please, like, get it inside me. Then it's your turn to, have your fun. And first of all, let me just say that this is going to sound like so lame, but the missionary position is the absolute king position for getting girls off. It is. It's simply the most comfortable position. You could sit there and pump away for hours if you needed to, if you wanted to, because it's that comfortable. You're not straining to keep yourself up. You just prop yourself up on your elbows and you could stay there for like hours. Or you could just take your elbows out and lay down completely on top of her and let her bear all of your weight. And you could stay there for hours and never get tired. Whereas like all these complicated different positions where you're straining, your mind's not even thinking about sex. Your mind's just thinking about like, how your legs are burning or your back's burning. All these complicated positions do not get you to orgasm and do not let the girl orgasm because they're too, uncomfortable. You want this thing to be the most comfortable thing that you can sit in that position for a super long time. And it just keeps on feeling better. You can concentrate on what you're feeling as opposed to like grinding away, straining. You shouldn't be straining. You shouldn't be sweating. It should be coming nice and easy where you can just focus on each other's orgasms. Okay, so what about once you're inside of her? Like what kind of skills, what kind of like moves do you have to get her off that way? You can start off with shanking, what I basically call shanking, where you're just putting the head in really small, like short strokes in and out, and you're taking it completely out, putting your head in, taking it completely out, putting it in, and eventually she's going to be like, go deep, like I need it deep, go, because it's teasing her and you're not putting it all the way in. And then eventually, like if she's really good, you can, give her the full weight in, all the way out, pull the way in. And with every girl, you're gonna have to adjust your positioning. You're gonna have to play around with your pressure, the depth, how much pressure you're putting on her legs, dropping your hips down, bringing your hips up, how deep you're going inside of her canal. All of that plays a difference. Whatever pressure you're trying, pushing your hips down into her hips or down into her buttocks, be pushing your abs into her abs, your chest into her chest. All these things like manipulate how it feels. And there's a million different ways you can, hold girls while you're doing this. Bringing your hips back and pointing your dick straight up so it's hitting your G-spot. You pay attention to how she's reacting. Does she like that? Like, oh, yeah, she will be very vocal. Even quiet girls will noticeably be like, oh, when you hit the right spots. And when you hit the right spots, you stay in those spots and you increase intensity. You gradually build up intensity. And if she's not feeling anything, like nothing's happening, then yeah, you've got to try something else. Don't just continually forcing that same position that's not hitting any of her spots. Another thing you can do is in any position, it's not mandatory because women can come like very easily doing all kinds of things. But what really seems to work is having a woman move. When you move her body, when you're pumping, you can see her whole body move up and down. That's when you know you've hit a good rhythm. In order to do that, this isn't very hard to do. You just grab you grab her shoulders and you pull her down. And as you pull her down, she will naturally bounce back up. So you pull her down and bounce her back up. And so her whole body will be moving up and down, and that rhythm gets her to blow usually pretty quickly. And keep in mind, a woman's orgasm is like a roller coaster. You're going to slowly build it up all the way to the very climax at the top. And as soon as she reaches that climax where the big O is coming and there's no turning back, it's happening. This is where you can release your inner beast, let it all out. This is where you intensify the orgasm. You know, you've been building it up nice and slow. Now you're going to finish with an intense sprint, all out, beast mode. So here's how you intensify her climax. Now here's what you can do. Let your imagination run wild, because she's going to be in total bliss, total euphoria, that you can pretty much do no wrong at this point. So what can you do to intensify this orgasm even more? This is where you choke women. I generally, put my hand around the sides of her neck, not blocking the airway, but blocking the arteries. So that way she can still breathe, but she still feels like passing out, and she can still breathe. So choking, hair pulling, you can grab a fistful of her hair and give it a good yanks while she's orgasming. You can jackhammer her cervix, really get deep and pound her guts out. Intensify the orgasms. Start pumping away like you're trying to set a world record for, thrusts per second. Yeah, intensifies the orgasm. This is where you can really do no wrong. Biting, scratching, smacking. Not all women are going to like these things, but some women are going to love them. So again, you have to play trial and error to find out what she likes and what she doesn't. It's like you might be, smack a girl in the face while she's in orgasming, climaxing, and maybe you'll get some girls that'll be like super turned on about it, but you'll also get some girls be like, yeah, when you slapped me like while I was orgasming, I didn't really like that. So at least now for next time, she's not into being slapped in the face. But again, some women absolutely love that. You can also talk absolutely filthy stuff in their ear while she's climaxing. There is no limits to this. You can bear hug her and squeeze the life out of her. Like she's an orange. The harder you squeeze, the more juice comes out. Again, you have to let your mind run wild with these things, because when she's experiencing that kind of pleasure, everything you do that pain, other pleasure, just maximizes it even more. And yes, you'll have to play trial and error to find out exactly what a particular girl likes and what she doesn't. But yeah, try everything, because a girl might not even know what she likes until she experiences it. And of course, once that 30-second orgasm is done, you're going to have to climb that, the roller coaster up again. But this time it's going to be a lot faster. The more a girl orgasms, the faster she climaxes every time. So it doesn't take a long time for her to build up another one and build up another one. She's going to keep on riding that roller coaster over and over again as she climaxes over and over again. So that's the advantages. The more orgasms you give her, the easier it is for you. And yes, when comes time for you to orgasm, I can't stress this enough, but don't go quietly into the night as you jack off or you skeet, or as you bust your load quietly into the night. Let her know that you're climaxing. So I don't know about you guys, but find a masculine sound that you can roar out, when it comes time where you're busting a nut. For me personally, I've had women say I sound like a bear is climaxing or a bear's roaring. But yes, find some sort of, guttural sound that's a masculine sound that you can, yell out when it comes time for you to orgasm. Because this just affirms her that, like, she did a good job, she got you off. The same reason that you get off, seeing your girl, climaxing, she's making all these sounds, and it fills you like with pride, and almost like it inflates your ego, and you want to do the same thing to the girl. So when it comes time for you to bust a nut, make sure she knows about it. Don't just be like, she shouldn't ask you like, did you come or what's the deal? She should know. And the same thing, once it's all done, you should never ask a girl, well, was it good for you? Did it feel good? How was it? No. If you did your job, she should be in a wet mess, heaving on the bed, her mind and body absolutely blown. You shouldn't have to ask, like, was it good for you, honey? Because that's going to kill any kind of masculine energy you have, any kind of dominant energy you have. Do not say that. You should be able to know just by looking at her afterwards that, yeah, you rock this girl's world. And you don't have to ask her, like, was I the best you ever had? No, don't even ask that. You will know by the way she just clings on to you, for the rest of your life, how good you were. So no, don't go that validation seeking behavior. Like, was it good for you? Like, am I the best you ever had? No, cut out that shit. Just assume that you're the best she ever had because of, look at what happened to her. Anyways, that's the video, guys. Thanks for watching.